Okay, right, so we're going to build something now. I'm going to first select the equal aspect because I think that's by far the best one to work with. So we'll have it in equal aspect, and I'd love a whiteboard. So the one at the side here says no axes, so I'm going to get rid of everything. There's my whiteboard. Okay, and remember I'm walking around with this as well and not wanting to get my hands dirty with the whiteboard markers and so on. There's a lovely little scribble tool here. So I can pick that up. You have 2 coordinates. I'm just going to quickly draw it here. You have 2 points there and say over here. And at this point I'll either give them the tablet or I'll have them come up with and they'll draw a line on, because we've got smart boards they can draw the line on, tell me where's the perpendicular bisector. And they'll come up and they'll go, well, it's somewhere down there, and they're not too bad. Now, constructing that, if you've got a pair of compasses and a ruler and so on, you've got to construct this thing. You know, and on an exam paper, they're expecting you to construct it. So the order in which you construct something, you would put your points on first, then you would draw a circle around each one. Terrible circle, I appreciate, and you draw another circle around that one, hopefully the same size, and then you go mark that point there and that point there, and you draw a nice straight line through the middle of them. That's what we're going to do. That's what we're going to build. Okay? Now if you do it in the right order, and you have to do it in that order, Autograph accepts it in that order, you can then undo everything and then say, right, now, have you got your pens, have you got your compasses, have you got your rulers, they're on paper, now we're going to do it bit by bit. So we're now going to do it bit by bit on Autograph. So the very first thing I did was put 2 points on, then I put 2 circles on, then I found 2 points and I drew a line between them. So let's start with a fresh page again, and let's have it in equal aspect mode. Let's have no axes there. And let's put 2 points on. Okay? So we need point mode, and just put any 2 points on you like. Okay? Doesn't matter where it is. So that was a fresh page. We want equal aspect and no axes. Okay? And put 2 points on. Now if you notice, I'm still on point mode. And what I want to do now is draw 2 circles around. So what I tend to always do is go back to select, so you don't put any other stray points on the page. So I'm back in select and I can just click off. So I'm now back to this place where I've got these 2 points. So I want a circle around them. So I'm going to stick a circle on that one. So I'm going to select it. And then I'm going to right click to bring up everything I can do with that point, which has circle at the bottom. Remember, it's not only right click, you can get it through the object menu up here, but right click does the same thing for you. So I'm going to say stick a circle on it. And it will always default to give you a radius of 1. Now a radius of 1 is fairly small, and remember you're trying to do loci, so you're going to try and get these circles overlapping. So you might want to have tried this out before you do it with your class. So I'm going to stick a radius of 3 on there. Remember again, I'm not at the keyboard, so I'm going to open up the Autograph keyboard and I'm going to say I'll have 3.
How do you open that?
All I do is click on these ones here. If I click on data, it opens up the numbers for me. If I click on text, it opens up the actual keyboard, and there's another one over here extra that opens up a lot of the mathematical symbols, and you just shut them down again by pressing the button again. Okay, so I'm going to have a radius of 3. Okay, that's not too bad. That's probably good enough for this one. I might need to make it a little bit bigger. I'm going to do the same on the other one. So again, deselect everything and reselect the next point. And I want a circle around there as well. And that's going to have a radius of 3. So there we go, radius of 3. Now, I can do OK by pressing return here. That will do it for me. Instead of having to go backwards and forwards across the thing, return tends to do OK for you. So we'll get that out of the way. They're not touching. I couldn't have done that again if I'd have tried, could I? Look at that. Right, I've made a mistake. They've got to be bigger. I've got to make both of these circles bigger. So just deselect everything again, so I know I'm starting from a fresh point, and I'd like them perhaps to be maybe 4 or 3.5. So if I select, if you see the little arrow that appears, that says this is the object I'm going to select. I'm pointing to the object I'm going to select. So remember, double click on that and it will bring up that dialog box again. So I actually want it to be 3.5, don't I? Let's make it a little bit bigger. Oops, a daisy. Let's have that as being 3.5. A little bit bigger. I've got to do that with the other one. When you select something, it's gone black. That circle is still selected. It's black. So deselect. Goes back red. I'm going to change the other one. That one's going to be 3.5 as well. So we'll have that as 3.5. Okay. There, that's much better. They're actually overlapping now. Right, so let's drag that out of the way. Okay, deselect everything. So my next task was to get a line to go through that intersection point there and that intersection point there. Right, finding an intersection. If you try and put a point on the intersection, sometimes you'll get it, sometimes you won't. Because remember, we're on point 1, so this thing's going to snap at point 1 intervals. And if you might be lucky, you might get it, but chances are you won't. So the way to find an intersection point, you've got your keyboard, on point mode, you press Control, and at that point you've got a different little cursor going on there, little starry thing going on. You bring that close to the intersection, it turns into a circle. And as soon as it turns into a circle, you can say, stick the point there, because it's found the intersection.
So could you just do it again?
Okay, we'll do that again. We'll start that from scratch again. I'll just turn that one off. Okay, so I want to find this intersection down here. I'm going to select point mode, because I want to put a point on. And then I'm going to come over, oops, the daisy, I did put a point on there. And mine, we'll get rid of that one. Okay, so I'm going to hand again. So I'm select point mode. I'm going to come over, press Control, at which point my little cursor arrow's changed into a little star. I'm going to bring it to the intersection that I want, at which point it turns into a circle because it's found it, and I can press Go. And it's put the intersection on, and that is the absolute intersection. It's not a guessworked intersection like you get it if you tried to put it on normally. Do remember to switch Control off. Okay. If you don't switch Control off and you're at the end of a lesson and everybody shuts their computers down, because the autograph keyboard runs independently of autograph, if you've still got Control on, your keyboard thinks it's got Control on. So when you're trying to do something else and your next class comes in and they start tapping away and it all starts going funny, they'll wonder what on earth's going on. But because it will remember that Control's pressed down. So do remember to switch it off again, otherwise you'll be in ever so much trouble by the next teacher. Anyway, so now we're going to go back to select mode and unselect everything. I've got one point there, I've got one point down here. Notice again what's happening as I'm coming over the points. That's an object, that's got a little arrow pointing to it. As I come over a point, it turns into a little star. So I know there was a point there because you can't quite see that there's a point there, but if I just wave the cursor over it, I've got a little star thing. So I know I can select it. So I'll have that one, and I'll have that one down there. I want to put me straight line through it now. So object menu, or right click. Instead of putting a line segment in this time, let's put a nice straight line in. So I get the full straight line. And hopefully your students will have already drawn that on there and you can check whether they've done it right or not. So there you are, that's perpendicular between 2 points.